Hey friends, welcome back to the Destination Baby and Kids YouTube channel. This is Gina, your host. Super thrilled to be here with you today to do a little comparison video between the two strollers that you see directly behind me. We are going to be comparing the Ergobaby Metro 3 and the UPPAbaby MINU V3. But before we get into it, if you haven't yet, now would be a great time to subscribe to this channel. We're going to be doing a lot of travel stroller comparisons coming up here in the next few weeks. We've already started to do them. If you don't want to be left out, go ahead and hit subscribe. If you makes sense, go ahead and like the video. If you have a question at the end, leave a comment or a question. And if it makes sense to share this video with a friend or a loved one, go ahead and do it. Sharing is caring. We appreciate every viewer, every view. This was a very, very heavily requested video, so I'm thrilled to be able to give the people what they want and really go over these two little strollers that you see behind me. Remember, if you wanted to, you could buy either one of these products directly from my website, destinationbabykids.com. I am a real brick and mortar store here in the greater San Francisco Bay Area. The best way to show your support for this channel is by buying directly from the website, destinationbabykids.com. Okay, commercial over. Let's launch in to the fabulous and exciting, and we got to turn on our other light, strollers that you see here, the UPPAbaby MINU version 3 versus the Ergo Metro 3. All right, so UPPAbaby is this one in gray here on my right, and the Ergo is going to be shown in this beautiful soft olive color here on my left, your right, okay? So we're clear, we've got UPPA over here, and we've got Ergo Metro over here. So MINU Metro, okay? Cool. Now, let's run through the specs because they are very, very similar but different, okay? So biggest difference is going to be the price, right? So our Ergobaby stroller is going to clock in at $350, whereas the MINU version 3 is $550. Our warranty on our Ergo is the Ergo lifetime, okay, blah, blah, blah. The real warranty is probably more likely their standard 2-year warranty. UPPAbaby is going to give you a 3-year warranty. Now again, I talk a little bit about this Ergo lifetime promise warranty. If you had some type of real issue with this beyond 2 years and you called them, they're probably going to cover it. But I would also say that that's true of most brands. If you have a legitimate grievance with their product, they will still cover it beyond its probably typical warranty, provided that you haven't screwed it up somehow. So if it's beyond normal wear and tear from like manufacturer malfunction, typically most companies are pretty helpful with that. All right. The weight of both of these products, the weight of our MINU version 3 is going to be 16.5 pounds, and the weight of the Metro 3 is 17 pounds. So Metro, I was just lifting them right now in case you couldn't tell what I was doing, and Metro to me does feel slightly heavier, not much, but definitely a little bit heavier. Okay. Backrest. Our backrest height on both of these strollers is supremely tall. So if you have a long-bodied kiddo, someone that's in the 99th percentile, off the charts, this is the stroller that I would be considering if I wanted a travel stroller and my kid was really tall, or my spouse is tall, or I'm tall and I think I'm gonna have a tall baby. These are great because the backrests go really tall. Backrest on MINU version 3 is 21. Backrest on the Ergo is 20 inches. Canopy clearance. This is how much room we have from the butt to the top of the head with the canopy closed. So canopy clearance on MINU version 3 is 26 inches. On Metro 3, it's about 24.5. So you do get a little bit more canopy clearance, about 2 additional inches off of the MINU version 3 over the Ergo. So something to be aware of there. Harness minimums and maximums. Our harness minimum on the Ergo is going to start at 9.5 inches and go up, or excuse me, 9 inches, go up to 14.5. On our MINU V3, it's going to start at 11 and go up to 16. The seat width, very similar on both products. You have about 13 inches on the Ergo and you have about 13.5 on the MINU version 3. Seat depth, so this is how deep the seats are. On your Ergo, it's a 9-inch deep seat, and on the UPPAbaby, it is 8 inches. UPPAbaby makes their seat look really deep, but if you start pushing on it, you'll see that some of that is a bit of an optical illusion. Crotch belt depth. So on the Ergo, your crotch belt depth, which is how deep this lower piece is here, is 4.5 inches deep. Whereas on the MINU version 3, we have 2 crotch belt positions. We have one at 3 inches and one at 5. So it is an adjustable crotch belt piece on the UPPAbaby. The leg extension, that's this little piece right here. Leg extension on UPPAbaby is a single hand lift. On Ergo, it's a 2-button press, which makes sense. Ergo is more is cheaper, so it might be a little more work to do some of the adjusting on it. But your extension is 6.5 inches. Your extension on UPPA is 5.5 inches. And then the knee drop, that's going from knee all the way down to the bottom of the footwell. Knee drop on Ergo is gonna clock in at 13 inches and knee drop on UPPA is at 11. Handle height. So this is very, very exciting. Why? Because I have a lot of tall parents that come in and the handle heights on these travel strollers is always too short for them. And the only option they're ever given is the Nuna Travel, and it's $600, and it's the only one with a tall handle height. Not anymore. As you can see, our UPPAbaby, which is the brown leather here, that is for sure shorter than what you're seeing on this Ergo. And Ergo is actually height adjustable. So one of my handle heights would be about the same as UPPA. So that handle height on Ergo is 40 and on UPPA is 40. But if I want a taller handle, Ergo is actually, even though it's cheaper, the brand that's gonna give me that option. And this handle height will come up to 43 inches versus 40 on UPPA. Now UPPA uses real leather. Ergo is like leatherette. So yes, part of that cost that we're paying for is fancier fabrics and pieces on UPPAbaby than what you get on Ergo. So I do think that's important to call out. I do love the real leather. It's very nice. Okay, and there's other very cool leather colors available with UPPA. Your color choices with UPPA are more interesting, no question. With Ergo, when you change the color around, it's just the canopy color. With UPPA, it's gonna be both the handle color as well as the canopy color. So it's a little bit more like fashion forward, which again, at the more expensive price point, that would make sense. Okay, our buckle types. Neither one has a magnetic buckle. Yay, so they're the same that way. They both would have a 3 to 5 point plastic pinch buckle. Completely normal, completely easy on either model, so I think you're good that way. Both of these strollers have incredible newborn liners, which means this entire fluffy piece on both of them comes out for washing, okay? UPPAbaby, I'm gonna give the credit to on the liner. I actually think the liner on the Ergo is more plush, okay? So the Ergo is like a squishier liner, but where UPPA's is probably more effective and smarter design is that when you remove it, it's on snaps. There's no Velcro, okay? So when you take this out, if this were to get pooped on or gross and you wanted to take it out and wash it, you could take it out and then your kid could go back in the stroller seat because there wouldn't be stuff that they would be sitting on that would be uncomfortable. On Ergo, I'm surprised that they put the soft Velcro on the liner and not on the actual seat, because now when we take this liner out, if we want a kiddo to sit directly in the seat, they're gonna be sitting on scratchy Velcro. I don't think that that's clever. I think reversing the Velcro placement of this would have been a smarter move, so that the part that they would have been forced to sit on is soft, at least, if you ever do have to roll around without the liner, okay? So just my 2 cents on that. And that's just a design thing. They could fix that in a running change moving forward. So that would actually be a very cost-effective change for them to make their product better. Now, that being said, liners on both are awesome. And both of these are suitable for a newborn directly out of the box. And you're like, what the hell does that mean? Well, with either one of these, we can buy car seat adapters to click a car seat right on. But maybe you're a grandparent or maybe you're an auntie like me and you're like, I don't even want to mess with the car seat. I just want to take my nephew on a walk. Why is this so complicated? Well, with either one of these strollers, you would be able to do that with a new baby, like directly coming home from the hospital. They both go flat enough to support a newborn, and they're both gonna have this option when they're in the recline mode to kick out like a little apron or another piece to come up over. In case you were worried that the kiddo's gonna get away from you, you have this option to put these little aprons up. So UPPAbaby's is really nice because it's fast and easy, as you can see here. Another benefit of this one from UPPA is that if you do have it engaged, you can leave it set up that way and still fold it pretty easily. Ergo's is actually a nicer apron in that it doesn't give you any coverage on the top, but it gives you like board, which is actually very, very supportive. And so for people wondering like, why would that matter? It's just when yes, it's nice for when they're an infant. Again, I almost think like some of this stuff is who cares, because they're a little baby for such a short duration of time that doing all of this rigmarole is a little bit annoying, but it is relatively fast, as you can see. I just hate demonstrating this stuff because it makes me look slow on camera, which is always annoying. I love to be fast, fast, fast. Okay. But now, as you can see, set up for a new baby. And no question, the recline on Ergo is deeper than the recline on UPPA. The other thing that's annoying about UPPA, to be fair, is when you set both of these seats upright, the Ergo will sit much more upright than the UPPA sits. The UPPA starts at about 120 degrees. Your Ergo starts at 105. So it has 15 more degrees of upright seated position. And I'd also argue a deeper reclined position. The other thing that I think is very odd on the UPPA is that when it's in recline mode, we have no option to open up the back for ventilation. Whereas with Ergo, they have a backrest ventilation that actually comes down and then has the magnetic closure. So it can be covered or open. And then you also get the top magnetic open and closure. UPPA just includes the top vent. They don't include any vent on the backrest. And this is so weird because on this product, as it's side-by-side double, they actually have this really nice big mesh ventilated back panel. I don't get why they don't do it on the single, but they do it on the double. Stupid. So again, this is going to be open. Again, this is the cheaper product, and it's going to have a little bit more of that accessible bell and whistle that might be important to a consumer. Okay? So both of these will work for newborn right out of the box. But again, the bigger value, who cares about the newborn feature? Like, it's great for 10 minutes. The bigger value is that if you had a gross diaper that you wanted to change later on with an older child, both of these strollers are going to give you that lay flat recline to be able to utilize at any point. Now, one thing I'm curious about here is, will this fold up with the newborn stuff all set up? Okay. So it will collapse, but it doesn't collapse as deeply as it theoretically could because we've got all this apron up. Whereas with UPPAbaby, if your apron's up, it would still collapse more tightly to like theoretically go into the trunk or the overhead or whatever. I don't know if this is critical to anybody, but just a small difference I'd want to point out functionally between the two, because the cost is so different on these products. And it's like, hey, what am I getting for my extra money or less money? Either way. Okay, so getting back to my point though about this being like a boarded piece, what's nice about that is when you do tuck it back underneath into itself, it actually gives the kiddo's legs a pretty high level of support, which I think is very nice for big heavy toddlers with like big calves that are just dangling over the edge. I like a foot plate that actually is not flimsy and chintzy and that will give them that high level of support. So I think tucking this piece back in and zipping it up, you can see it's very supportive. That guy is also very supportive too. That's just our alarm telling us to hurry up so that we can finish the video in a fast time for the viewing audience. But again, we want to touch on all of the features between the two so you guys know what you're getting. Now, another interesting feature as I'm down here, you'll see Ergo has a wider set front tire. UPPA has a narrower set front tire. And then if we go to the back of both of these products, like spin them around so you can see on the back, we also get a pocket on the Ergo. I don't think, no pocket on the UPPA, which stinks because they actually had a pocket on the Canopy of their last model of the same stroller. But UPPA will have a sandal-friendly brake, which is very nice. Ergo's brake is definitely not sandal friendly. When you engage it, you do have to put a fair amount of effort to kick it up. So it is not a sandal friendly brake. But you can see here the Ergo rear tires are narrower set and our UPPAbaby tires are wider set in the back. Now, neither one of these strollers has the option to lock the swiveling front tires when you're walking. I think this is very strange on UPPAbaby that they wouldn't include that because their tires at the front are narrower. So it would be a nice feature if they had it, especially at $550. And other strollers in a lesser price category sometimes have a wheel lock. So it's just kind of interesting to me what they do and don't include on that guy. Our basket sizes. Basket size on the Metro is going to be about 20 deep by 12 wide. Basket size on the UPPA is 17 deep by 14 wide. Front versus back opening. UPPA has a bigger basket opening, so our UPPA opening in the front is 9 inches and in the back is 7.5. Our opening on the Ergo is 6.5 in the front and 6 in the back. The Ergo basket actually holds more weight though. Weight capacity for Ergo basket is going to be 22 pounds. The weight capacity for the basket on the UPPA is going to be 20 pounds. So they're close, very, very close, very nice big baskets. They both hold more than Nuna Mix Next, which is like $1,000. So just keep that in mind. These are both excellent baskets. Neither one of the seats has a heel stirrup, as you can see. They both have a one-handed fold, and neither one has the handle that touches the floor when they are folded. My argument to go with UPPA would be you want to use an UPPA car seat or a Kiko car seat. They will enable you to do that. You could also use a Nuna ring adapter with this guy. So they have a better series of car seat adapters for this product, a broader variety of car seats that will go on this product. With Ergo, your car seat adapters would only work for Nuna, Cybex, Maxi-Cosi, Collect, Joey, Britex, and like Peg Prego with a set of additional adapters. So there still are tons of choices, but just like little differences between the two products. Now, personal opinion, I pushed them both with the same amount of weight in them, and I topped out the basket on both. They both push beautifully. I don't think one pushes so much nicer than the other. I think it's interesting how many bells and whistles you get with the Ergobaby, specifically the height adjustable handle, more of this like self-fold mechanism. There's a lot of value for dollar tucked in here at $350. And with UPPAbaby, I do love it for $550. But if I didn't need the additional car seat and I didn't need the ultra tight fold, I would be probably pretty tempted to go $350 over $550. I don't know. They're both great. What do you guys think? Any thoughts? We love them both. Both available on my website, destinationbabykids.com. Why don't you head over there and look at the different colors and see which one looks more fashionable. UPPAbaby for sure has better accessories. They're like Apple. You stay in their ecosystem. Everything works beautifully, fabulously together. But again, Ergo Metro for the price. Metro 3, a lot of bang for your buck. So hopefully this helps us understand some of these differences between these two products. And again, if you guys have questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. Leave a thought, leave a comment. I don't know, I think it's my inner Midwesterner that's more cost conscious, kind of loving this $350 price point. You get a lot of value. But again, I love the leather and I love the look. Oh, what's better? You guys let me know. Thanks so much for watching and check out our other videos.